Hello, in this video we will discuss about the intermittent fasting health benefit. So in this video that is very important and we can understand, and I will try to understand you the complete story about the intermittent fasting. So basically the fasting can be 16 hours fasting and 8 hours fat state, and in this way the first meal and last meal, between the both first and last meal, the restriction of diet is 16-hour fast. So in this way the intermittent fasting we can and eat not we can eat, but we can drink only energy less drink. So this is a body contain body fat is the female, which that is contain a high fat amount. So let's begin to understand how to decrease fat and the health benefits. So here is the liver, which that produce the FGF21 during the intermittent fasting. So it will bind with the liver, and this is the PARR alpha, which that is also produced, and the adiponectin will produce from the adipose tissue, and this basically adiponectin will degrade the and lipolysis will be occur, while here the leptin will also produce from the adipose tissue to inhibit the hunger. So the degradation of the fat due to the adiponectin is very important, and adiponectin also glucose balance in the blood and the regulation of glucose metabolism. While on the other hand, here is the degradation of fat will go this triacylglycerol into the liver and to form ketones through ketosis. So the ketogenesis will be occur. So here is the pancreas will produce the insulin will be decreased due to the less amount of food, while the glucagon will increase for the degradation of fat. But the glucose and food when we will eat, it will inhibit the insulin inhibition, decreasing to lead to increase in insulin, while the glucagon will inhibit. So in this way, the ketones body will produce from the liver. This ketone body is basically alternate form of the glucose, contain beta hydroxybutyrate, acetone, glyceraldehyde, keto acid, and aceto acid. Anyhow, in this way here you can see the ketones are good source of energy and contain light molecular weight and antioxidant itself. So in this way it is antioxidant will prevent the DNA damage and reactive oxygen species inhibition. So this is the mechanism which that is understanding the ketones will produce during the fasting, intermittent fasting. So this is the DNA of the tissue of the fatty female, which that protect, and it means the tissue protection due to the ketones and the reactive oxygen species inhibition. So the DNA will repair, not degrade. So how it's processed, let's begin to understand further. So this is the major beta hydroxybutyrate will enter into the blood circulatory system. So this is the major we will focusing on the beta hydroxybutyrate, and the blood glucose level automatically normal, and the ketones alternate energy which that provide to the brain, heart, muscle, and other blood vessel for the increasing the consumption as a energy as well as repair also. On the other hand, the ketones will produce more efficiently energy for the metabolism. So we can feel during the breathing the ketones when we are going to ketogenesis, so during the intermittent fasting. And in this way, here the body fats will drop. So the drop body fat due to the intermittent fasting. Let's begin to understand. Here is the higher fat amount in the fatty woman, which that FGF21 will bind will lead to increase the adiponectin, and this adiponectin will trigger the lipolysis, while the glucose regulation also occur. And in this way, the adipose tissue degradation will lead to fat decrease, And in this way, the ketones will produce from the fat will, due to the fatty acid production, will lead to higher low density lipoprotein increase, so the LDL increase, but it's normal, not bad. So in this way, the ketogenesis will be occur in the liver and go into the blood circulatory system. Anyhow, the protection is the growth factor like FGF21 also bind with the tissue, but the DNA repair and cell survival and check DNA damage due to the mTORC complex inhibition. That is why the mTORC complex, basically mTOR complex, the mammalian target of rapamycin, will lead to cause cancer, so it will inhibit. It means the anti-cancerous intermittent fasting. So, on the other hand, let's begin to understand during fasting the cellular mechanism. So, that is very important for understanding. So, here is the plasma membrane, and this is the nucleus, contain nuclear membrane. Inside is the genetic material, and this is the cytoplasm. So, this is the DNA, genetic material in the form of chromosome, but I am not drawing the chromosome, but you can understand. So, this is the DNA. Let's begin to understand during the starvation period. So the starvation mean when we will not eat, so our body will regulate and change their physiology. So in this way, here is the fasting. During fasting, the glucose will decrease, amino acid will also decrease. It means the proteolysis will be occur from the muscle, if long term but not short term. So here is the insulin like growth factor 1 will inhibit, and in this way the FGF21 will increase, as you know. So in this way, the glucose basically decrease will lead to decrease the glycolysis and Krebs cycle are ultimately decrease. In this way, the ATP also decrease. When the ATP will decrease, so the AMPK will be increased due to the adenosine monophosphate increasing. So the AMP when increase, so the AMP kinase pathway will increase, will lead to. So in this way, here is the phosphoinositide 3 kinase, which that will activate the AKT pathway, and in this way AKT will decrease the mTOR complex, and this is the mammalian target of rapamycin, which that will decrease the S6 kinase. So in this way, here is the pKa, which also possibly will decrease, will lead to FOXO increase. So this FOXO protein increase due to the AKT, and this AKT protein basically FOXO triggering, and this FOXO is basically increase the SOD2, SOD increase. When this protein will increase, basically the protection and survival regeneration increase. So in this way, the regeneration will increase. It means the repairing of that all things in the cell. So the oncogenes inhibition, survivalship of normal cell will trigger. But in this case, here is the nucleus. The FOXO, when increased, will bind with the DNA, will transcribe the translation, and the translation will lead to increase that protein, which that is important for stress resistant. So the stress resistant gene will be activated, will lead to translation to produce that protein, which that is basically resist to cause cancer. So the cancer will inhibit. So anyhow, let's begin to understand the nutrient condition when we will eat more and more. So when we will eat more and more, so the oncogenes inhibition, which that will be oncogene inhibition will not occur. In this way, the oncogenes will be activated, and the longevity will be decreased. While in the case of the fasting, the oncogene inhibition will be occur and the longevity increase. So in this way, the mTOR complex 1 and 2 will increase, will lead to inhibit the stress resistant genes, and the translation, it means the cancer will be occur. So here is the rapamycin can inhibit this, for just understanding for you. So in this way, what have you learned about these things? What have you learned about these things? Basically, let's begin to understand the whole summary. So the benefit of intermittent fasting is basically inhibition of oncogenesis and weight loss mechanism increase. So the repair of cell, so the tissue repair and the growth as well as the ketogenesis will be occur will lead to oncogenesis decrease due to the reactive oxygen species inhibition. And on the other hand, the inhibition of cell proliferation, so monocyte not into macrophage, so the proliferation will inhibit, so the macrophage not conversion as well as the immune cell proliferation will not occur, so decrease inflammation. And longevity genes activation due to the I had discussed in the cellular pathway, and the several disease prevention. So this is the mechanism of the intermittent fasting health benefits. So I hope you make sense about these things. This is the cellular mechanism as well as the physiology. So I hope you make sense about the intermittent fasting. Basically that is very helpful, and it is healthy process for the living organism. So this is the basically is the long term fasting can increase the fat loss, as well as on the other hand this is the system which that is occurring in several animals. So thanks.